Blackburn Rovers return to the away days as they take on Brentford. Can they make it 5 wins on the spin? We'll talk about it next. That's right, folks, back once again with another match preview, this time looking forward to a Blackburn Rovers match up against Brentford at their place. Now we'll get to that in just 1 second. If you're new to the channel, smash your subscribe button to keep you bang up to date with all things Blackburn Rovers related, Championship related, world football related. We're going to all here under one roof. Now let's jump into the thick of things and take a look at the match in a bit more detail. It does take place this weekend, which is the 2nd of February at Griffin Park up against Brentford. Now, obviously, since the last time that these two sides met earlier in the season, Brentford have changed their manager, not by choice. Dean Smith has gone to Aston Villa and Thomas Frank now takes over the reins. I think he was assistant to Dean Smith. Last season, Brentford finished a respectable 9th in the table. That's pretty dang good. And the key man for me will be Ollie Watkins. That's right, they do have the divisions, or one of the division's top goal scorers. We'll have a look if he is the top goal scorer in Neil Maupay, but I think Watkins is the man we've got to keep tabs on. The last time that these two sides met at Griffin Park, it was a dismal day, folks. The worst day in a long time for Rovers. Even though we won 3-1, it wasn't good enough to stay up. We got relegated on this day, 7th of May, 2017. Mowbray was in charge as well. Yeah, dismal. But over the years, we have played each other 34 times. We've won 18 of them. We've drawn 4, and we've lost 12. We'll take a look at that in a bit more detail. Anyway, let's have a look at the expected starting lineups for Brentford. Bentley, Konsa, Barbe, Geneva, Henry, Mokicho, Sawyer, Dalsgaard, Benrahma, Neil Maupay, there he is, and Ollie Watkins as well. Deadly duo or trio up top. The statistics for Brentford looks like this. Maupay has 18 goals, Watkins got 8, Benrahma's got 4, Kanos has got 4. As for the Yellows, Dalsgaard's got 8, Sawyer's got 7, Maupay's got 6, Watkins has got 4. As for the Reds, Benrahma tops the pops because he's the only one there with one red card. Let's take a look at the last 5 results. They're coming to this red-hot form to Brentford. They come into this after a 3-3 draw just on Monday night in the FA Cup up against fellow Bees, Barnet. So that will create a replay. They also took on Rotherham quite recently, and they beat them 4-2 away from home. That was on the 19th of January. Before that, on the 12th of January, they took on Stoke City at Griffin Park, and they won 3-1. All the way back on the 5th of January, it was another FA Cup match up against Oxford again at Griffin Park, 1-0 winners. And then all the way back on New Year's Day, the 1st of January, they took on Norwich and they drew 1-1. The next 5 fixtures for Brentford looks like this. They take on Rovers, obviously, this weekend. Then they take on Barnet once again in the replay of the FA Cup. Then they'll take on Nottingham Forest at the City Ground on the 9th of February. And then a tasty one on Valentine's Day Eve when they take on Aston Villa. That's right, Dean Smith returns to Griffin Park. And that'll be under the Sky cameras or the red button or whatever they call it. And then on the 16th of Feb, they'll take on Swansea City at the Liberty. Now, how about the Mighty Rovers? Here they are. This is how I expect them to line up as well. No changes for me after that phenomenal performance on the weekend against Hull. Raya between the sticks, Bell, Lennon, Rodwell, Bennett, Evans, Travis, Dack, Armstrong, Reed, and Graham up top. Obviously, kind of glossed over the fact, or I've not even mentioned it, but it is the transfer window. We have actually signed Harry Chapman, but I don't think he'll be involved in play whatsoever. According to Tony Mowbray, he's not fit. He's nowhere near match fit. So he was supposed to go out on loan, but I don't think that's going to happen either because he's that out of shape. But we have him. He's on the books. He is a Rovers player. And also, between now and then, some players may leave, some players may arrive. There are links, rumours of us trying to sign another forward, but I don't think it's going to affect the starting lineup for Saturday. I think they'll arrive too soon, and then they'll probably have to wait a week or two before they can get integrated into the squad. Anyway, let's take a look at the stats for Rovers. Obviously, Dacky Boy tops the pops with 13 goals. Danny Graham not far behind though with 10. Mulgrew has 8, and Armstrong clipping on Mulgrew's heels with 8 goals. As for the discipline, Lenihan has 7 yellows. Bennett has 6, Evans has 6, and Smallwood has 6. A couple guys on red cards, Smallwood and Williams, they both have red cards. The last 5 fixtures for Rovers, pretty decent. 4 wins on the spin, like I said, at the top of the shop. That's it in the league. But overall, this is the last 5 fixtures. We took on Hull last time out, obviously 3-0 win. Before that, we took on Ipswich, also at Ewood Park. That was a 2-0 win on the 19th of Jan. We did lose to Newcastle United at Ewood in the FA Cup, 4-2 after extra time. Technically, it was a 2-2 draw. Yeah, you know what I mean. Our phone is going off the blink. Saturday, the 12th of January, we took on Millwall down at the Den. And then all the way back on the 5th of January, we also took on Newcastle at St James's Park. 1-1. The next 5 fixtures for Rovers looks like this. Obviously, Brentford next. After that, difficult one as well. Bristol City on the 9th of Feb. Before we take on Reading on Valentine's Day Eve on the 13th of Feb at the Majewski. Then it's a difficult one up against Middlesbrough at Ewood Park on the 17th of Feb. Early kickoff on that one. And then we take on Birmingham, another difficult one at St Andrews on the 23rd of February. Now, this is the form book going into this. Look at this. Brentford are in 4th. We are in 5th. Both sides, 12 points out of a possible 18 the last 6 matches. So it's, you know, I know you'll see the league table in a minute. Brentford don't look too decent with their position in the league, but the form book suggests that's something different. I think it's about to change. Think about Hull's form. You know, they skyrocketed up the table. Brentford were doing well. They kind of dropped off, obviously, with the change of manager, but things appear to be turning the corner. That's overall home form, but this is home form. Now, what we're focusing on here is 18th place Brentford. So, despite their amazing form, recent form, the last 6 home games have them situated in 18th spot with only 7 points out of a possible 18. On the flip side, Rovers are in 3rd, but we're not really focused about that because we're away from home. Obviously, this is the away form now. Taking a look at it, Rovers sitting in 19th spot with the away form in the league. So, not too great. It's looking like a bit of a draw, if you're honest with you. Like 18th place home form Brentford up against 19th place away form Rovers. You know what I mean? It kind of cancels each other out. Anyway, over the last 6 meetings between the two sides, we did mention it earlier, the 3-1 defeat, a 3-1 win for Rovers at Griffin Park, the last time that these two sides played there, obviously ultimately relegating us. But we also played earlier in the season and we won 1-0 at Ewood. You have to go back all the way to 2015 for the last time Brentford beat Rovers, and that was at Ewood Park. Anyway, kick on further. The last 6 home games for Brentford look like this. They go into this, obviously, beating Stoke last time out, also beating Oxford. They drew with Norwich, they beat Bolton, they lost to Swansea, and they lost to Sheffield United. So the last time that they lost at home was the 8th of December. As for Rovers, it's the last 6 away matches. The last time that we lost away from home was against Sheffield United, 3-0 collapse. In fact, that was a bit of a nasty period for Rovers, only picking up a draw out of possible 4 away games. Over on whoscored.com, it kind of outlines what Rovers' weaknesses and strengths are. They say we're very good at creating chances through balls and defending set pieces. On the flip side, we're very weak against keeping possession of the ball, defending attacks down the wings, and defending attacks through balls. On the flip side, Brentford's strengths are finishing scoring chances, attacking down the wings, so you can see where they're probably going to focus their attention on. And as for their weaknesses, protecting the league, stopping opponents from creating chances as well. So those are some of the key areas that people can focus on. The key players for Brentford and Blackburn, according to Who Scored, are Lenihan, Mulgrew and Reed. That's based on their average ratings. As for Brentford, it's Malpay, Dalsgaard and Benrahma. And then you can see some of the goals and assists for your leisure. So some match facts for you. Blackburn have won 4 of the last 4 games. We already talked about that. Blackburn have kept a clean sheet in the last 3 matches as well. Blackburn have scored at least 2 goals in the last 4 matches. Brentford are undefeated in the last 6 matches in the Championships. So not too shabby. Well, anyway, what else is going on this weekend in the Championship? A packed out schedule. Some very juicy games on the agenda as well. Kicking it off with Preston up against Derby at Deepdale. That kicks it off on Friday. Wigan up against QPR. Reading against Aston Villa. West Brom take on Middlesbrough in a tasty one as well. Bristol City up against Swansea. 2 playoff battling sides there. Birmingham up against Forest. Hull against Stoke even. Ipswich against Sheffield Wednesday. I think Steve Bruce will be in charge by then. And a tasty one as well. Late kickoff. Leeds United up against Norwich. Let's take a look at the grand scheme of things. Leeds are top of the pops with 57 points. Norwich are in second with 54. Sheffield United, West Brom, Middlesbrough and Derby occupy the playoffs. As for the bottom 3, Ipswich, Bolton and Reading are going down if the season ended today. This match, Rovers are in 8th spot up against Brentford, who are in 18th spot. So there's a good gap between the two sides and a win for us. We could technically go in the playoffs, but we need a bit of a goal swing. Anyway, take a look at the top goal scorers overall. Tammy Abraham has 19 goals. Billy Sharp is in there, 18. Tony Pukki has 17. There's a whole host of players beneath them, including Neil Maupay, with 16 goals overall in the Championship. As for the key assist makers, Pablo Hernandez tops the pops with 11 assists. Lucas Jagakovic has 9. Conor Hoonahane has 8. And there's a couple of players there with 7 on the books. So you've heard a little bit what I have to say about the match. Now what you really want to hear is the opposition fans' point of view, and I'm joined live on Skype with Dan McGee, who is a die-hard Brentford supporter. Now for my small corner of the YouTube audience, if you don't mind telling me a little bit about yourself and why on earth you support Brentford.
Right, so obviously my name's Dan McGee, as you said, my sir. I'm 20 years of age. I've lived in Uxbridge, well, most of my life. I'm a Brentford fan simply for the fact my father was. I think my first game when I was 2 years old, and believe it or not, I fell asleep at the game against Sunderland in the FA Cup. I work in finance. I'm a DJ on the weekends, and yeah, I just love going down to.
Yes, awesome, and that's where we're heading this one. We're not heading, but the Rovers are heading this weekend. Okay, so now what we're going to do here is instead of myself doing all the hard work about looking up about Brentford, that's why you're here. We're going to try and do kind of like a mid-season overview of Brentford, and you can kind of sum up how it's going for Brentford. So, like Rovers have had an okay start to the season. We're doing okay, around mid-top table, and a couple of players have stood out for us. But who's been your best player so far this season? Oh, obviously, there's a couple of players that stand out from a third eye point of view, but from a Brentford point of view, who's the main man?
I'll be honest to anybody, if you're looking at it from any sort of view, like you said, we have a striker who's 4th in the goal scoring, standings, Neil Maupay. He's got 16 goals and 2 assists. And I think to have a player that can score that calibre of goals, it makes any team, you've got to score goals to win games. And I think he's doing a great job of it at the minute.
He is. And I think he's attracting a lot of attention as well from Premier League clubs and all that kind of good stuff. Okay, so that's the top of the spectrum. Now, is there anybody that's kind of, you were expecting a lot more this season and it's kind of been a bit of a turkey? We've got Ben Brereton. We bought a lot of money for that guy, and he's been a bit of a dud so far. What about you? Any shockers so far?
Well, it's not so much a signing. He's been with the club a couple of years now, but he's a Denmark international. When he played with the World Cup, his name's Henrik Dalsgaard. And he plays right back, and he's for an international sort of level, you'd expect a high level of performance, but he's just not performing to make to my expectations anyway, but maybe not to all the other fans. But just to me, he's got to perform better. Yeah.
What about through the ranks? Now we've got a couple of youngsters who've broken their through from the academy. Lewis Travis for one. How about you? Any young Brentford players that we should keep an eye out for?
Well, there's a player called Ollie Watkins. I think it might have been. I'll be honest, I'm not too sure who we bought him for, but I knew we bought him cheap. And he looks so promising. I mean, he's a left winger. He's dribbling past players. He's very young as well, and he looks very promising. I mean, just after the World Cup, when it was all friendlies for England and that sort of thing, there was talks of him being called up for work as well. And for an English, for a Championship player to be called up for England even, that's quite
okay. So how about well, obviously we're in the thick of things right now, transfer window wise. It's going to wrap up on Thursday, I believe. But Brentford make any decent signings for you this season?
Well, yeah, we signed an Algerian player called Saeed Benrahma. He's a very quick player, and he's got such an eye for goal. I was told many things about him before he even joined us. And I think for him to come in and definitely change up the pace for the team, you always need that player who's going to push the extra mile and always try different things. He's a very skillful player as well. And I think that was a very good signing for us this year.
Do you know how much Brentford paid for him?
Knowing us, we probably paid cheap for him.
That's good. Good bit of shrewd business. What about on the other end of the spectrum? Any buys that kind of have not worked out for you?
Well, we signed a player called Marcus Fors. I think he made an appearance in pre-season against Wycombe Wanderers, and I think he scored a penalty. And just since then, he's made appearances, but like I said, he's not fitting into the team. And I think if you're going to come to a club, you've got to fit in with the team and play to their style of football. Otherwise, you're out the door.
Yep, indeed. What about, you mentioned the best player, but who's your favourite? Who's the person that you want to make sure is in your starting 11 every week?
Well, we have a left back called Johan Barbe, and I mean he's fantastic. You put him up on a 30-yarder free kick, and he'll make sure it's on target. I mean, last season, even against Leeds last season, it was on TV. I remember at Griffin Park, he scored it from about 25, 30 yards out, and it just he's a great player. He's very strong as well. He's fast as well, and he's got that eye.
So if there's a dodgy free kick or something, he's more likely to be the one taking it?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, okay. What about now? Every team seems to have one. A guy that kind of is more likely to break someone's legs. Who's the tough nut at Brentford? Who should we be trying to avoid in the middle of the park?
I'd say it's Neil Maupay, to be honest.
Really?
Even though he's a striker, you've got to keep a cool on things sometimes. And I think even against Aston Villa this year, when we played away, he just doesn't know when to cool down. And I think he just gets very irritated very quickly and quite angry very quickly. Even against Birmingham as well, he flipped out.
Yikes. Has he been sent off this season, or so far avoided that?
Hey, touch wood. But if I mean, we played against Birmingham, and it was just a silly little tackle on Harley Dean, as much as the fans hate him. But he's got to really keep a cool on things, to be honest.
Okay,
and if he's going to go to the Premiership, he's got to learn that.
Yes. Okay, now, is there a player on the Brentford books, or maybe even in the start 11, that gets a lot of plaudits that you think probably shouldn't? He might get a bit too, like, we always, like, for third eye point of view on Blackburn Rovers, Bradley Dack gets a lot of plaudits, and he does deserve them for the most part, but sometimes he gets a bit too much. Who's the most overrated?
I'd say Sergi Canos. He was a young player. He come through Liverpool, and he came on loan to us for a season, a wonder season, if not first season in the Championship. And he was great. He'd do anything. He'd score goals for fun. He'd set up assists for fun. But these couple of years since he's come back, because he had that wonder season, the fans seems to think he's some sort of wonder kid. But in this season especially, he's just got too complacent, to be honest, and he thinks just because the fans love me, I've got a place in this squad. He doesn't care or perform, but there's not a lot you can do about that.
What about a player that doesn't get a lot of credit when he should do? Someone who does maybe a lot of the donkey work, all the hard graft, doesn't score many goals, but does a lot of the graft.
I'd say Romain Sawyers. His ability to dribble past players. I mean, he's Walsall, so he come through with Dean Smith. So Dean Smith brought him in. And the first season, not too good, but, you develop as a player. And there was a season when he just became good like that. And he's brilliant. He can dribble past players. He can pick out a peach of a pass where you wouldn't think, you wouldn't think where to kick it. And he'd make sure it go there,
So Romain Sawyers, the man I'll keep an eye on. He might sneak under the radar. Like you said, you mentioned that you supported Brentford since you were 2 years old. Who's your favourite ever player to pull on a Brentford jersey?
Favourite player? There's a few, but it has to come down to a couple. One of them being Alan McCormack. He was through us when we came from League One into the Championship. And simply being for the fact there was an open day at Griffin Park, and through when I was playing Sunday League and when I was progressing through the ranks, I actually spoke to him because I played in the same position as he does, right back. And I just, I went up to him asking him for some tips and things like that. And he just sat down and talked to me like a normal person.
Nice.
As well as David Button. I mean, he plays for David Button, Brighton, I think it is now. He's a Premiership goalkeeper, but he's not an arrogant person. You get a lot of these players who, even League One, and they're very much arrogant.
Yeah.
But players like, David Button, for sure. I'd speak to him for a few minutes after the game, just face to face, real people. But I think that's brilliant.
It is. It's hard to get these days. A lot of players are, like you said, arrogant, cocky, and bigger. They think they're bigger than everybody else. But yeah, it's a nice touching memory. Now, if you could steal one player from the entire Championship, could be at Leeds, could be at Ipswich even, who would you steal?
Tom Ince.
Tom Ince, yeah.
Stoke. He's a great forward, and I think he's a great asset to Stoke.
Yeah.
They're very lucky to have him.
They are indeed. Now, where do you ultimately think Brett? Because like Brentford started the season well with their old manager Dean Smith, kind of went off the radar a little bit, but now they're bouncing back again. Where do you ultimately think Brentford will finish this season?
You know, if you asked me at the start of the season when we beat Rotherham 5-0 and we were the top of the table, I would have said, yeah, minimum promotion. But looking at it now, I mean, we're 18th, and I would be lucky to get top half of the table. A few games ago, I would have said, yeah, we can still get playoffs and that, but ideally, looking at it now as coming, just after the halfway mark of the season, top half of the table, I'm hoping for.
Yeah, well, you could do a Millwall, because they spoke to the Millwall guy not so long ago, and they went on an amazing. You've already on a nice run right now. I think you're one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the form. So you got I wouldn't rule. I think you still got a chance of top half, like easy, and maybe even playoffs. So I wouldn't rule it out. Now, who is the team that you hate the most, and why? I don't know much about Brentford. There's a lot of London clubs, but who is the ultimate nasty Brentford team? You know what I mean.
That's all right. So being a Brentford fan, you'd think it'd be a West London team like QPR or Fulham, but I don't think that's so much the case, because a lot of the fans, they make the club. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Fans do make the club, and they're a big part of it. And when you got fans that are very cocky and just think that, they think that we're going to do all this all like Leeds fans, let's be honest. You know what I mean? And when you got fans like that, it's just not a team you're going to really like. And I'd say for that, it'd have to be a Birmingham City, because, I mean, they nicked 3 of our players, but they're going on like, they're better than anyone.
Yeah, well, that's a good shout. I thought you were going to go down the Leeds road there. Leeds aren't a lot of people's not favourite teams, but Birmingham, yep, I can relate. I'm not a big fan of them myself. So, okay, what's the final score going to be this Saturday at Griffin Park? Brentford up against Rovers. Final score?
I'd have to say 2-2, because it's really tough, because both teams are on a great form. I mean, you've won 5 out of 6, I think it is.
Something like that. So I think, we won 4 in the spin, but it might be, there might be 5.
I was looking at it, and I just think you have a great form at the minute. I mean, you recently signed back Harry Chapman. What was it, yesterday?
Yep.
He's a great forward, and I think if you get him, if he starts tomorrow, for that fact, he could be a great danger against us, and I think it'd be a good game of football. Final score 2-2.
2-2, yeah, nice. Well, I'll take that. I think Brentford are a tricky team. You just never know what you get. And hopefully we can get your feedback after the match for the match reviews. Is that all right?
Yeah, definitely.
Perfect. Well, until then, we're going to let you get out of here.
Lovely.
Now you've heard a little bit what I've had to say about the match. You've heard a little bit what I've had to say about the match. Now what you really want to hear is what Cass the Cat's got up her sleeve. What she predicted for the Rovers-Brentford game at Griffin Park. Let's take a look at it. That's pretty much all I've got for you today, folks. If you've enjoyed the video, please give it a good old thumbs up. But if you're new to the channel, smash your subscribe and keep you bang up to date with all things Blackburn Rovers related, Championship related, World Football related. We're going to all here under one roof. Also, check out the old description. Links to my other social media platforms are in there. Twitter, Facebook, it's all in there. And also, make sure you drop your own comments down in the section below. What you think is going to happen this weekend against Brentford. If I'm going to call it, I'm going to either... It's looking, I don't know yet, because it is, what day is it, the 29th or something like that. The Manager of the Month award is due to be announced very soon, or and usually, I think Mowbray's up for it, and I think if he wins it, we're going to lose it, because there is the old Manager of the Month curse that shortly follows the ceremony of the presenting of the trophy that the manager would then lose his next game. So I expect... if he wins it, we're going to lose it. Because Brentford are decent. They're on a turn as well. So I don't think Rovers are going to go into... I don't think they're going to win. If I'm all to put my hand on my heart, I think we'll be lucky to get a point. And that will be a decent result in the grand scheme of things. Anyway, let me hear your thoughts and opinions about the old match in the old comment section below. Until I see you again, which will be an instant match review after the final results on Saturday. Until then, thumbs up, subscribe. I'm out. Thanks again for watching. Please like, share, and most importantly, hit the subscribe button to keep you bang up to date with all things Blackburn Rovers related, Championship related, football related. We've got it all covered right under one roof. And while I still have you, please be sure to check out some of the old videos scattered along here. I hope.